What's up, guys? We are back with a full slate of MLB action here on Tuesday, July 30th. Tons of offense in the MLB on Monday, guys. We ended up having a pretty good day regardless, though. We had the Yankees plus 130. We saw Gil look fine out there, and so did the Yankees bullpen to eventually come away with the win in that one over the Phillies. We had the under in that game as well, though. That was a little bit disappointing. Judge hit 2 home runs. The Yankees had 14 hits, absolutely destroying Wheeler. We ended up with a total of 18 runs in that game. So that under was no good at all, but we did bounce back well, guys. We had the under in that Chicago Cubs-Cincinnati Reds game. Spears looked great in that one, and so did the Reds bullpen. 7-1 win there for Cincinnati and a win for us on the under. We also had the Royals at minus 1.5. It took them a long time to get to the White Sox, guys, but a 6-run 8th inning got the Royals that 8-5 win. 3-1 on the day. We will absolutely take that. Let's get back to work and find some value here on this big Tuesday slate, which is also trade deadline day, so make sure you stay up to date on that pinned comment. Before we jump into the games, guys, hit that like button. It only takes 1 second and really helps out the channel. If you like these videos, go ahead and subscribe. It's free and can notify you about new videos or anytime we go live. Our videos are sponsored by StumpTheSpread.com. Click the link in the description to go over there and join our free email list and check out our top confidence plays on all the major sports. Comment below with any bets you're looking at today and we will give you our best advice on all of them. We are committed to responding to every single comment every day, so let us know anything you want to say about my picks, these videos, or anything you see here. As always, our favorite picks will be in the pinned comment down below. Now let's get into our first game of the day. We've got the Cleveland Guardians going on the road to take on the Detroit Tigers. The Guardians come into this game fresh off of an 8-4 win there in game 1 of this series. They've actually won 3 out of their last 4 overall to get to 64-42 on the season. They're handing the ball in this game to Gavin Williams, who's 0-3 on the year with a 4.50 ERA. He's coming off of a decent start against the Tigers. He went 6 innings, gave up 6 hits and 3 earned runs, so not exactly dominant stuff. I mean, he did strike out 9 in that game, so that's nice, but over his last 4 starts, I would say he's been fine. Maybe not like amazing, but he's looked pretty decent against the Tigers, which is obviously important in this matchup going up against the Tigers. So we'll take that into consideration. We're also going to be definitely looking at this Cleveland bullpen that's tops in the majors, guys, with a 2.47 bullpen ERA. Absolutely amazing stuff there. The offense seems like it's maybe finding itself a little bit coming off of that 8-run outburst. They've scored 8, 4, 0, and 3 runs respectively over their last few games. Ramirez hitting 2 home runs definitely helps a lot there. They're going to need him. They're going to need Steven Kwan to kind of figure stuff out too. Like, this team hasn't been having a great time at the plate. They are down to around league average in most of the major statistics, so that is a bit of a concern, but they're making some moves to try and kind of, boost this offense. So we'll see how those go. They're taking on the Tigers again in this game, who, didn't have a good time losing 8-4 in that one. We saw Flaherty get scratched, so seems like there's a decent shot he's on the trade block right now. We'll see what actually happens with that one. We don't have a confirmed starter right now for the Tigers, who come into this game a little bit banged up right now, and it doesn't seem like this is a team that's really going to be trying to compete here in the last half of the season. Green is still out, missing their best hitter here isn't great, and over the course of the season, how has this starting pitching staff really looked? I mean, Tariq Skubal been amazing, but this team is 7th in the majors in quality starts, 14th in the majors in total team ERA. So, not a disaster, pitching staff per se, but the bullpen has not been very good, guys. They're in the bottom half of the league. A 4.07 bullpen ERA is not great, and they don't really have the offense to back up, any poor pitching, guys. If they have a bad pitching outing, they're very, very likely to take a very lopsided loss. 26th in the majors in batting average, batting .231 as a team, 28th in the majors in on-base percentage with an on-base percentage of under 300, and those are stats that were mostly compiled with Riley Green in there. He is not going to be in there for this one, so lots of big question marks for me there about the Tigers. Looking at the numbers for this game, guys, unfortunately there are not any numbers yet, so we're just going to wait and see on this one. Obviously, a lot's going to depend on the pitching matchup, who the Tigers decide to put out there. I do like Gavin Williams in this spot a good amount, so I'm leaning towards Cleveland, but like I said, guys, we've got to see the prices and all that, and in terms of the over-under, I don't have a big lean either. I mean, Cleveland's a big under team on the road. Detroit's a slight over team at home, but with Riley Green out, that seems more likely to be an under game to me. But we're just gonna have to wait and see until we get some numbers. Next on the docket, guys, we have the Toronto Blue Jays going on the road to take on the Baltimore Orioles. These teams played a doubleheader on Monday, guys. We saw Baltimore get the comfortable win in game 1. Game 2 is leaning towards Toronto right now with them, sporting a 3-run lead. So we'll see how that one works out. We're gonna be looking at game 3 of this series. The Blue Jays are handing the ball default in this one to Chris Bassett. It does not seem like the Blue Jays are super interested in being competitive the rest of this year. It feels like they're definitely sellers here at the trade deadline. Bassett comes into this game 8-9 on the season with a 3.78 ERA. His last time out was against Tampa Bay, guys. 5 innings, 5 hits, 3 earned runs. Not terrible stuff. He's been a bit inconsistent and not as good as he was earlier in the season. Over, I would say, probably his last 4 starts have not been great. So we've got some concerns about him. I wouldn't say they're like crazy concerns. I think he can be fine out there, generally speaking. He has not gone up against Baltimore yet this season, so nothing to be gleaned from that. We are very concerned about the Blue Jays bullpen, guys. One of the worst bullpens in Major League Baseball, and I don't see them getting any better. I could actually see them getting a bit worse. A 5.05 bullpen ERA has them second worst in the MLB, only ahead of the Colorado Rockies. So that is not a great look. This team is not exactly making moves to improve their offense right now. It's more like they're selling guys off and obviously selling off Kikuchi, and yeah, just not a lot of good things to say about this offense, guys. I mean, they're coming off a game where they scored 5 runs. It looks like they're gonna have scored at least 6 runs in game 2. So, you know, they're doing something. They're swinging the bat. It's a little bit better right now, but yeah, just not an offense that I have confidence in. I do think they're going to hit some sort of downturn here. This little streak of, you know, hot hitting is going to go away eventually. So when is that going to happen? Is it going to be right now? I don't know, guys. We'll have to wait and see, but there's a reason this team is 25th in the majors in runs scored. They're taking on the Orioles, who come into this game looking like it's going to be fresh off of a loss. They're hitting the ball to Corbin Burns in this one. He's 10-4 this season with a 2.45 ERA, so very, very good season-long numbers. His last time out was at Miami, 7 1/3 innings, 6 hits, 3 earned runs, a single home run allowed. It was a game Baltimore actually needed extra innings to win 7-6, so a little bit embarrassing there to need extra innings in that kind of spot, but you know, that kind of stuff's going to happen. The last time we saw Burns go up against Toronto, it was on the road at Toronto, 7 innings, 4 hits, only a single earned run while striking out 5 in a game Baltimore won 10-1. So to me, that qualifies as very solid stuff. He had a start against them back in May that was also very good, so Burns seems like he should have a very high confidence level going up against this opponent. How do we feel about that Baltimore bullpen right now, though, guys? I would say not amazing. A 3.92 bullpen ERA is not great. They've been trending in a negative direction for quite some time. Obviously, they were better earlier on in the season, so, you know, we'll see how that goes here down the stretch, but not a pen that I have a ton of faith in right now, but they're not nearly as bad as the Toronto Blue Jays. The offense seems like it's coming alive here a little bit. I mean, 8, 11, and then it looked like at least 3 runs here in this 3-game stretch, so, you know, not exactly back to, you know, lock in, this team's going to score 8 or 9 runs every game like it felt like early in the season, but it seems like they're getting back on track. 4th in the majors in runs scored, 9th in the majors in batting average over the course of the season. Like, this is not an offense that I'm very worried about. And looking at the numbers for this game, guys, we see the Blue Jays at plus 170, the Orioles at minus 190. We've got an over-under of 8.5 in this game. Toronto is 23-29 on the road, and they're sellers right here at the trade deadline, so I would assume morale is going to get a little bit low, but it looks like they're going to be coming off a win. The Orioles are 32-24 at home, so that's pretty solid as well. We see both teams showing trends towards the over, and we've got an over-under of 8.5 in this game, but that seems a little bit sketchy since we're going to be putting Corbin Burns out there on the mound for the Orioles, so yeah, I'm probably staying away from that over-under, maybe a shade towards the over just slightly, but yeah, guys, overall, I like the Orioles in this spot a good amount. I think they're going to find a way to put up some runs. Obviously, that's a very expensive price at minus 190, so if you wanted to look at a minus 1.5 at plus 105, that seems extremely reasonable to me with Burns on the mound. I would say this actually has a chance to end up in the pinned comment. Next on the docket, guys, we're looking at the New York Yankees going on the road to take on the Philadelphia Phillies. The Yankees come to this game fresh off of a dominant 14-4 win there in Game 1 of this series. Gil looked pretty good in that game. We'll definitely take that win on the Yankees plus 130. That feels pretty good. We'll see what they can do here looking for their 4th straight win. They're handing the ball to Garrett Cole in this game. He's 3-2 on the season with a 5.40 ERA. He's come off a pretty bad start, guys. He got really knocked around by the Mets. 5 2/3 innings, 8 hits, 6 earned runs. Just not the stuff we were seeing from him in those 2 starts in a row. He looked very good against Baltimore, very good against Tampa Bay, and then really laid an egg there against the Mets. So Cole still, I mean, it feels like he's still working his way back from injury, guys. This is not full strength, 100% Garrett Cole out there. It's got to be getting close, though, you would think. I would have really had him locked in as, you know, in good shape if it wasn't for that bad start against the Mets. So we'll see what we get from him. We'll see, in general, what we get from that Yankees bullpen. They looked decent in this game here in Game 1, but, man, is this a bullpen we can trust right now? I mean, they are still, 6th in the majors with a 3.64 bullpen ERA, but they have not felt as dominant as they were earlier in the season. Something you can definitely lock in as a a positive is his Yankees offense, though. Judge hitting the ball incredible right now, up to 39 home runs, just hit 2 home runs in that game. Like, Chisholm hit 2 home runs in that game as well. Like, we saw Stanton get back out there. He didn't get any hits, but he did score a run after getting walked. So, yeah, we'll give him a little bit of credit. Definitely having him in the lineup opens things up for the other batters. I mean, makes things a lot tougher. There's not a spot out there that you can really pitch around in this lineup. So, we'll see what they can do here. Going up against the Phillies, who come into this game losers of 4 out of their last 5. They're handing the ball in this game to Aaron Nola, who's 11-4 this season with a 3.44 ERA. His last time out was against the Twins, guys. It was on the road, and he looked great in that start. 6 innings, only a single earned run allowed on 6 hits. So pretty good stuff there. It was a bounce back after getting knocked around on the road at Pittsburgh. So that's a little bit of a tough look. Pittsburgh, obviously not a team you're expecting, a good starter to struggle against. So we'll see what we get from him in this game. I mean, the dude's been good over the course of the season, no doubt about it. The Phillies bullpen, though, has been very, very problematic. They just got shredded last night. 3.93 bullpen ERA, a number that's definitely getting bigger and bigger as the season goes on. So very, very concerning stuff there. Not a bullpen that I'm high on at all. And the offense did score 4 runs there in game 1 of the series, but they haven't been hitting the ball great, guys. They've scored 4, 3, 8, 1, and 4 runs respectively over their last few games. Just doesn't feel like guys are swinging the bats well right now. I mean, this is a great offense. Don't get me wrong. That's very, very obvious. But right now, they're in a little bit of a lull. Those things are going to happen during the season, and we have to take advantage of that when we get the opportunity. So the Phillies offense, not feeling great right now. So looking at the numbers for this game, we see the Yankees at plus 106, the Phillies at minus 120. We've got an over-under of 9 in this game. The Yankees are 35-22 on the road, so a very solid road team. The Phillies are 38-17 at home, though, so obviously great at home. We see mixed trends towards the over-under. I mean, the Yankees are a serious over team on the road, and the Phillies are a slight under team at home. I mean, you could shade maybe towards the over again in this game, but generally speaking, guys, I'm going to be leaning towards the Yankees plus 106 on the road in this one. Playing the hot bats here. They're swinging the bats great. The Phillies have no bullpen to speak of at all, so if you want to take the Phillies, I would say take them early in the game under the impression that Nola might do all right, but I think we're going to see a bounce back here from Garrett Cole. This Yankees plus 106, definite chance to end up in the pinned comment. Next up, guys, we're looking at the Miami Marlins going on the road to take on the Tampa Bay Rays. The Marlins come into this game fresh off of a loss there against Milwaukee. They did win 2 out of 3 in that series, so that has to feel good, but at 39-67 on the year, obviously not having the best time. Yeah, I mean, we've seen some cool things from this team this season, but obviously not a competitive team. They're handing the ball to Edward Cabrera, who's 1-3 this year with a 7.04 ERA. That ERA has been coming down a little bit over his last couple of outings, but they haven't been amazing, guys. His last time out was against Baltimore. It was a game the Marlins won. He went 5 1/3 innings, gave up 3 hits and 3 earned runs. The problem was he walked 4 in that game, and over his last 2 games combined, he's walked 9 hitters over 10 innings. Like, that is not great. So, yeah, young guy with some control problems. Not too shocking there. We'll see what he can do in this start. We'll also see what we get out of that Miami bullpen, which has been much better than expected this season. They're borderline top 10 in the majors with a 3.68 bullpen ERA. So they'll definitely take that, hoping that, those kind of numbers can hold steady for them. The offense, they've scored 2, 7, 6, 6, and 6 runs over their last several games. Swinging the bats pretty well. We did just see Edwards hit for the cycle, the second Marlin ever to hit for the cycle, so that's pretty cool. Over the course of the season, it's been a pretty horrible offense, guys, down there with the likes of the White Sox. But yeah, right now, swinging the bats pretty well, but they did just trade away. They're kind of gutting this offense, so I don't expect those kind of numbers to continue. I think the 2 runs they scored in the last game against Milwaukee might be more of the norm. So they're going to have to put something together here against the Tampa Bay Rays, who don't exactly feel like they're headed in the best direction either. Certainly a team that's looking to be a seller here at the trade deadline. They have won 3 out of the last 4 games overall, though. They're 54-52 on the season. The Rays are handing the ball to Jeffrey Spriggs in this game, who is going to be making his Major League debut this season, the season debut here in this game against the Marlins. It's his first time in the big leagues after undergoing Tommy John surgery, so we'll see what he's got out there. I mean, he looked great in very limited outings last season, so we'll see what he can do in this one. I'm expecting decent stuff from him at least, but 31 years old, coming off of Tommy John can be a little bit tough. We'll see what we get out of this left-hander. We'll also see what we get from the Tampa Bay bullpen, guys, which hasn't been amazing over the course of the season. Bottom 10 in the majors for sure. Their bullpen ERA of around 4.23, so that's not great. Can't exactly trust this bullpen, and can't really trust this offense either, guys. They've scored 2, 4, 2, and 13 runs respectively over their last few games. 27th in the majors in runs scored, 25th in the majors in slugging percentage. Like, just a couple teams that are sellers here at the trade deadline that aren't doing a lot of good stuff. So looking at the numbers for this game, we see the Marlins at plus 144, the Rays at minus 160. We got an over-under of 7.5 in this game. Miami is an absolutely horrendous road team, guys. 17-33 on the road. Tampa Bay 29-28 at home. We see both teams showing significant trend there for Miami, but a small trend for Tampa Bay towards the under, with an over-under of 7.5 and both of these teams being sellers right now. I do think there's a decent chance we could see very low scoring games. So, we'll see what actually happens. You could take a look there at the under, but I think taking the Rays -160 is fairly reasonable. But overall, too many unknowns in this game. Neither team really motivated to win. This is probably a stay away spot for me. Next up, guys, we've got the Chicago Cubs going on the road to take on the Cincinnati Reds. The Cubs come into this game fresh off a loss there at Cincinnati in Game 1, losing 7-1. Spears was dominant in that game for the Reds, so yeah, not good stuff there for the Cubs. They're handing the ball to Justin Steele in this game, who's 2-4 on the season with a 3.08 ERA. His last time out was against Milwaukee, 5 1/3 innings, 6 hits, 2 earned runs. A very solid outing in a game the Cubs eventually lost 3-2, so that's got to be a little bit disheartening for him. He's had a pretty decent season. He had 2 starts back-to-back in the very beginning of June against Cincinnati. The Cubs went 1-1 in those starts. He had pretty mixed results, guys. I mean, he only gave up one earned run in each of those, but he gave up 7 hits and 5 runs in one of those. Only one of those runs was earned, but still. And the other one, he gave up 5 hits and 3 runs, only one of which was earned. So I have a little bit of a question mark here about him going up against the Reds. Probably has a little bit of PTSD, just in this situation. So we'll see what he can do. We'll also have to see what that Cubs bullpen can do, guys. They haven't been amazing this season, but they haven't been terrible. Pretty much middle of the pack there with a 3.74 bullpen ERA. So that's not awful. The offense, on the other hand, guys, at times this season for sure has been awful. I mean, they only scored 1 run in the first game of this series. They did look good there at Kansas City, which was pretty wild, except for in that first game where they got shut out. Just not an offense that I really feel like I can trust at the moment. I mean, the Cubs have been a bit banged up, so yeah, I mean, we can't really blame them too much, I suppose, but 22nd in the majors in runs scored and 24th in the majors in slugging percentage. Bellinger could be back for this game. I mean, he just got taken off the injured list, so we'll see when he actually is out there, if they'll use him as a DH or a pinch hitter or whatever. We'll see what actually happens, but yeah, not an offense that I'm very high on here. Going up against the Reds, who come into this game fresh off of that win. They're 51-55 in the season, so a lot of work still to do. They're hitting the ball to Frankie Montas in this game, who's 4-8 this season with a 5.01 ERA. His last start was at Atlanta. He didn't have a great time out there, guys. 4 1/3 innings, 10 hits, 4 earned runs. His start before that at Washington was also terrible. Like, this guy has not had a good outing since back on, the 4th of July against the Yankees. He had like a freak good outing against the Yankees. So we'll see what he can do in this one going up against the Cubs. The last time he faced the Cubs, guys, he only went 1 1/3 innings, gave up 5 hits and 4 earned runs. So I would say very concerned about what Montas can do out there against the Cubs. The Reds bullpen has been fantastic this season. Absolutely no doubt about that. They're 4th in the majors with a 3.45 bullpen ERA, and the bullpen just continues to be good. The offense went off for 7 runs here in Game 1 of this series. I don't know if we can really expect them to do the same here against Justin Steele. They've been okay. I mean, they scored 7, 1, 0, 3, 9, and 4 runs respectively over their last several games. They're up to 15th in the majors in runs scored, but still 28th in the majors in batting average. So yeah, a little bit concerned about them at the plate. Looking at the numbers for this game, we got the Cubs at -125, the Reds at +110, over-under of 9 in this game. The Cubs are only 24-31 on the road, so that's not great. Cincinnati is 25-28 at home, so also not great. We got both teams showing trends towards the under, which makes me think about taking the under. I'm not going to lie. I mean, Montas has been terrible, don't get me wrong, but even if he gives up 3 or 4 runs and then they bring in the bullpen, like if Steele has a good outing, then we should be in the clear. So under 9, definitely a lean worth looking at in this game. I also think there's a reason to take the Cubs -125 if we're definitely going to see Bellinger back for this game. But yeah, I would double check on that and make sure he's actually going to be playing here. So yeah, this game, a lot of unknowns. My biggest lean in it is probably the under. Next up, guys, we got the Minnesota Twins going on the road to take on the New York Mets. The Twins come into this game fresh off of an embarrassing 15-2 loss there in Game 1 of this series. They're hoping they can hand the ball here to David Festa and get something of a bounce back. Festa's 1-1 this year with an 8.16 ERA. He's coming off a good but short outing against the Phillies. 4 1/3 innings, 4 hits, only 1 earned run. Definitely his best outing so far this season after getting destroyed by the Diamondbacks and the Tigers. So we'll see if this is, like an actual trend. Oh yeah, that wasn't a start against the Phillies either. That was a long relief appearance. So still 4 1/3 innings and only giving up 1 earned run. Not a disaster for this young guy. I mean, he's going to have some inconsistencies. He's 24 years old. Like, you're not just going to go out there and kill it unless you're Skeens or somebody like that. So we'll see what we get out of Festa. We'll also see what we get from this Twins bullpen that's, taking a little bit of a downturn lately. A 3.75 bullpen ERA is not among the, MLB leaders, but they're doing what they can out there, trying to, keep these kind of locked in. They're 58-47 on the year, and a lot of that is due to their offense, guys. I mean, they're 7th in the majors in runs scored and 8th in the majors in batting average. They're 5th in the MLB in slugging percentage. Like, a lot of good things, a lot of things to like about this offense. They scored 2, 5, 2, 9, 5, and 0 runs, respectively, over their last few games. So maybe not swinging the hottest bats coming into this game against the Mets, who come into this game obviously off of a crazy 15-2 win. They're 56-50 on the year, handing the ball to Sean Manaea in this game, who's 6-4 in the season with a 3.74 ERA. His last start was against the Yankees. It was a very serviceable one, 4 2/3 innings, so not a long start. Only gave up 2 earned runs. They were both home runs, unfortunately, but the Mets won that game 12-3, and the Mets are 4-1 over his last 5 outings. So very, very positive stuff there. Nothing to be worried about for Manaea, who's generally speaking looked very, very good this season. He hasn't gone up against the Twins, so nothing to be gleaned from that, but he's got a decent bullpen behind him. Maybe can we say the Mets bullpen is decent at this point? I mean, they've been getting better and better. A 4.12 bullpen ERA is fine. Not great though, not great. They needed to get better if they want to be like an actual, like force to be reckoned with in like the playoffs and stuff like that, but I think right now they're happy with the direction the bullpen is going. The offense obviously looked great. They needed a breakout offensive game, and they for sure got it, scoring 15 runs. They scored 15, 2, 0, 8, 3, and 12 runs, respectively, over their last several days. So, yeah, I think they'll take that. Headed in a good direction right here offensively, a team that's 6th in the majors in runs scored, 12th in the majors in batting average. They're top 10 in on-base percentage and slugging percentage, so kind of expecting some good stuff from this offense in this game. And looking at the numbers for this one, guys, we got the Twins at plus 120, the Mets at minus 132. We've got an over-under of 8.5 in this game. Minnesota is 29-25 on the road, so a very good road team. The Mets, they were a horrible road team at different points this season, but they're 28-27 at home now, above 500 at home, so that whole problem is kind of dissipated a little bit. No major trends towards the over/under for this game. Given the 2 starters, I would maybe shade a little bit towards that over 8.5, but in this game, guys, I do like the Mets minus 132 a decent amount. I'm not a big fan of what I've seen from Festa, and he's a young guy, pretty inconsistent. Obviously, the Mets are swinging some hot bats, and Manaea has looked good out there lately, and so has that Mets bullpen. So yeah, go ahead and give me the Mets minus 132 in this game. Is it going to end up in the pinned comment? We'll just have to wait and see. Next on the docket, guys, we're looking at the Seattle Mariners going on the road to take on the Boston Red Sox. The Mariners come into this game fresh off of a 14-7 beatdown at the hands of Boston in Game 1 of this series. They're 56-52 on the year, officially a half game back of Houston there in the AL West. That has to be pretty disheartening. They're handing the ball in this game to Luis Castillo, who's 8-10 on the season with a 3.38 ERA. His last start was against the Angels. He was dominant in that outing, 6 innings, 5 hits, no runs allowed while striking out 7. But Seattle took the 2-1 loss in that game, which has to be pretty disheartening right now trying to pitch for the Seattle Mariners. They have made some moves. They're trying to add some guys, trying to make this offense a little bit more respectable, but yeah, guys, that is going to take a lot. So we'll see what we get from Castillo in this game. Expecting pretty good stuff from him. Expecting decent stuff in a bounce-back situation here for that Seattle bullpen, which seems like it's showing some cracks. Seems like it's maybe not having the best time right now. Over the course of the season, they've been very solid, always above MLB average. So we'll see, how that goes. But right now, maybe not the highest on this bullpen. And the offense has looked much better, guys. I mean, they've scored 7, 6, 6, and 10 runs, respectively, over their last few games. Obviously, adding some, some pieces. Adding Turner from the Blue Jays is definitely a good idea. Who else they add? They added Rosarena. So I could see this offense getting back into a much better place. So we'll see what they can do here going up against the Red Sox, who come into this game fresh off that crazy blowout win. They're 56-49 on the season, handing the ball to James Paxton. It's his first start back in a Red Sox uniform after pitching for the Dodgers this year, where he was pretty effective, guys. 8-2 on the season with a 4.43 ERA. He had some rough outings lately. It's kind of funny. His last start was back on the 21st against the Red Sox, and now he's going to be pitching for the Red Sox. So we'll see how he looks out there. Generally speaking, a guy that we have a decent amount of faith in here. He hasn't gone up against the Mariners this season, but he has to feel pretty good about taking on an offense that's been so bad this year. So we'll see what we get from James Paxton. Obviously, he's had a nice long rest, so he should be ready to go. We'll also see what we get out of that Boston bullpen, guys. They've been a little bit problematic. A bullpen ERA of just over 5 here. So, not exactly having the best time lately, but I do think this is a bullpen that can kind of figure things out. And who knows, maybe they'll do some things to upgrade. We'll just have to wait and see. The offense, obviously coming off a game where they scored 14 runs, has to feel pretty darn good. They are taking on a decent starter in this game, but we'll see, what they can do here against Castillo. This has been a good offense over the course of the season. Easily a top 10 offense, maybe more like top 5. But yeah, we'll just see what they do out here in this one. Looking at the numbers, we've got the Mariners at minus 120. The Red Sox are plus 105 playing at home. That's a little bit surprising to me. And we've got an over-under of 9.5 in this game, which is another number that's very surprising to me. Seattle, 25-28 on the road, not a great road team. Boston, 25-27 at home, not a great home team. In terms of the side in this game, guys, I am leaning towards the Red Sox plus 105. I think they find a way to score some runs in this game, even against Castillo and that Mariners bullpen. But I don't know if I'm really in love with the side in this one, but guys, I do really like under 9.5. I think we've got a decent chance here to see a very good James Paxton outing going up against the Seattle offense that's, not amazing. Obviously, they looked a little bit better recently, but not amazing in my opinion. And also, Boston's not having a great time, and Castillo is a good starter. So yeah, 9.5, very big number. Give me the under in that one. Definite chance to end up in the pinned comment. Next up, guys, we got the Texas Rangers going on the road to take on the St. Louis Cardinals. The Rangers come into this game currently playing right now. Actually, they're in the bottom of the ninth with the Cardinals down 6-3. So looks like the Rangers are going to take that win and snap their 3-game losing streak, getting swept at Toronto. Kind of embarrassing. They're handing the ball in this game to Max Scherzer, who's 2-3 this season with a 3.57 ERA. He's coming off a great bounce back start there against the White Sox. He had a very bad time against Baltimore, but then 6 innings, 3 hits, only a single earned run against the Chicago White Sox in a game that we did see the Rangers win 2-1. So yeah, a very close, very low scoring game, but Scherzer will definitely take it. He's doing what he can to help out this team that hasn't had a great time with their bullpen this season, guys. Their bullpen is 25th in the majors with a 4.37 ERA. They're coming out of the pen. That is not a great look. Obviously, this team trying to do what it can to improve the rotation. Hopefully they do some things to improve this offense though, because they scored 3, 3, 5, 2, and 10 runs respectively over their last few games. They're 18th in the majors in runs scored this season, getting on base at a 310 clip, which is about MLB average, but when your slugging percentage is 22nd in the majors, you're not going to be an offense that puts up a ton of runs. So we'll see what they can do here against the Cardinals. Looking like they're going to be coming into this game fresh off of a loss. They're handing the ball to Lance Lynn, who's 5-4 on the year with a 4.17 ERA. He's coming off a great start at the Pirates, guys. 5 innings, 4 hits, no earned runs, no runs allowed at all. Walked 3 and struck out 2. Not a huge strikeout guy anymore, but Lance Lynn's been doing well in 4 of his last 5 starts. He did have a terrible start on the road at Washington where he just got obliterated. I mean, at his age, you're going to have some consistency problems, I would assume. So, yeah, expecting decent stuff from Lynn, don't get me wrong. He's been throwing the ball well lately, and it's not like he's going up against an offensive juggernaut. So we'll see what we get from him. We'll also see what we get from that Cardinals bullpen that's been hitting some bumps in the road lately after being, pretty much at the mountaintop there. A 3.66 bullpen ERA is fine, but not exactly a number that's trending in the best direction. So we'll see if they can kind of pull things together here. It might be a little bit tough, but like I said, we'll see what we get. We'll also see what we get from that Cardinals offense coming off of a game where they're going to have scored 3 runs. They're going to have scored 3, 4, 3, and 8 runs respectively over their last few games. The Cardinals did make a big deal here to add Feedy to the roster. That's a big deal for this rotation. Adding Pham might actually help a little bit. We'll see how they decide to utilize him, but yeah, 24th in the majors in runs scored, 13th in the majors in batting average. Just not an offense that I'm super, super high on. They are trending in a positive direction though, guys, so I'm not expecting nothing out of them. But, going up against Max Scherzer is a bit of a tough look. So, looking at the numbers for this game, we see the Rangers at -120, the Cardinals at +105. We got an over-under of 8.5 in this game. In terms of the side in this one, I am leaning slightly towards the Cardinals +105. They're a good home team. The Rangers aren't, a very good bullpen team. And I don't really expect Scherzer to be throwing, 7 or 8 innings in this game. I think more around the 5 or 6 range is what we'll see. So, if that's the case, they get a lot of at-bats against the Rangers bullpen. In terms of the over-under, guys, we do see both teams showing slight trends towards the over in this specific situation, but I think the under is definitely in play with the Cardinals, not being great offensively and going against Scherzer, and the Rangers going up against Lance Lynn, and they're not great offensively, but honestly, guys, I think my bigger lean in this one is the Cardinals +105. Is this going in the pinned comment? I do not think so. Next up, guys, we're just going to briefly touch on the matchup between the Atlanta Braves and the Milwaukee Brewers. As of right now, there are not starters confirmed for either one of these teams, so we really don't know what to expect. Obviously, lots of craziness at the trade deadline. Make sure you're checking that pinned comment throughout the day leading up to when these games actually start, because all kinds of stuff could change, especially on this specific day. So yeah, the Braves come into this game 56-49 on the year, fresh off of an 8-3 loss there in game 1 of this series. They're 8.5 games back of the Phillies there in the NL East, so I don't really think they're even trying too hard to win the NL East, but doing what they can out there. The pitching staff, the starting pitching, generally speaking, has been very good, guys. Tied for 5th in the majors in quality starts. This team overall is 3rd in the MLB in earned run average, 4th in WHIP. Batting average against, they're 9th in the MLB, and they've been one of the best bullpens in Major League Baseball all season long, 2nd only behind the Cleveland Guardians. So yeah, this pitching staff, very, very good. The offense has been questionable though, guys. They're leaning really, really hard on Ozuna to carry the load in a big way. They scored 3, 9, 4, 4, and 2 runs respectively over their last few games. So we'll see what they get out of their offense in this one. They're taking on the Milwaukee Brewers, who come into this game winners of their last 2 in a row and 4 out of their last 6. We actually have some breaking news at time of recording right now. now. They added Montas, so I know that messes up an earlier play. I guess the Reds are not going to be starting Montas, so we'll see what actually goes on in that game, but pretty weird stuff there. Obviously, lots of craziness going to go on here at the trade deadline. We don't know who the Brewers are going to be starting in this game. We'll see how things look for them. I mean, they're banged up right now. We saw Megill going on the IL with a back strain. Like, this bullpen's been good over the course of the season. A 3.31 bullpen ERA is nice. The starting pitching has been a whole different story, guys. They are 28th in the majors in quality starts, so that is not really ideal. The bullpen really propping up this entire pitching staff. The offense is taking some hits right now. Obviously, Yelich going down is a big deal for this team, so we'll see what we get out of them. Obviously, I can't give you any sort of pick on this game with no numbers out and also no starting pitchers, so this is a wait-and-see spot. Next up, guys, we've got the Kansas City Royals going on the road to take on the Chicago White Sox. These two teams are actually still playing right now at time of recording. We see the Royals are up 8-5 there in the bottom of the 8th inning, so hopefully they can come through. We've got the Royals -1.5. I'll already have talked about that in the intro by the time you see this part of the video, but still very excited here to see the Royals make a come from behind, hopefully hold on and win, so we'll see what actually happens, though. They're 57-49 on the year, handing the ball to Michael Wacha in this game, who's been very, very good, guys. 7-6 on the year with a 3.65 ERA. His last start was actually a bit of a hiccup against the Diamondbacks. 4 2/3 innings, 3 earned runs allowed, all on home runs. So yeah, just a few mistakes there against a hard-hitting Diamondbacks team, and yeah, he takes a bad look there in that one. But generally speaking, he's been very good. The Royals are 4-1 over his last 5 starts, so absolutely nothing wrong with that. And yeah, the dude's just been throwing the ball really, really well recently. I mean, the last time he was against the White Sox was back on the 19th, so not very long ago. 7 solid innings, only 4 hits allowed in a game we saw the Royals eventually win 7-1. So good stuff from Wacha, expecting good stuff from him, hoping for good stuff from the Royals bullpen, guys. That hasn't been great this season. I mean, they had some ups early in the year, but right now they're sitting bottom 8 or something like that in the majors with a 4.27 bullpen ERA. Obviously, not ideal stuff there. The offense came alive a little bit late here against the White Sox bullpen, something that we could see happening more in this series for sure because the White Sox bullpen is so bad. But, you know, we'll see how that goes. Obviously, Bobby Witt Jr. has been a monster. Salvador Perez is doing what he can while also being a catcher. You know, like, it's a long grind of a season being a catcher. Like, even for a guy like me that was a catcher in the little leagues, like, it can be tough out there. So yeah, the Royals offense, though, over the course of the year, definitely been above average. So we can expect some decent stuff from them going against the White Sox, who come into this game looking like they are going to take a 15th straight loss. Not having a very good time out there. They're handing the ball to young Jonathan Cannon, who's 1-5 this year with a 4.43 ERA. His last time out looked good, maybe not dominant. He gave up 8 hits over 6 innings and only 2 earned runs at the Texas Rangers. It was a game we saw the White Sox lose 2-1. The last time we went up against the Royals, it was at Kansas City. 6 innings, 8 hits, 4 earned runs. Like, it just seems like this young guy's running out of gas. There's no way around it. No shame in it, really. You see this happen to a lot of young starters over the course of by far the longest season they're going to play in their, you know, that they played so far in their lives. So, you know, that can happen for sure. The White Sox bullpen, not really sure what their excuse is, guys. A 4.69 bullpen ERA is absolutely terrible. Looks like they're going to be the reason their team loses this current game that they're playing right now as well. So big concerns about the bullpen, also the offense not looking great. The fact they scored 5 runs in this current game, kind of an offensive outburst for the worst offense in baseball. So looking at the numbers for this game, so the Royals at -178, the White Sox at +154. We got an over-under of 8.5 in this game. Obviously taking the Royals -178 is a pretty steep price, so you'd want to look towards that -1.5. If you take a -1.5, you can get them at -106 or -110, somewhere in that range. That seems pretty appealing to me with Wacha on the mound. Obviously the Royals, not a great road team, but they just had a series against the White Sox and they won every single one of those games by more than 3 runs, or 3 runs or more. So definitely taking a hard look here at the Royals to get another comfortable win. Next on the docket, guys, we got the Pittsburgh Pirates going on the road to take on the Houston Astros. The Pirates and Astros come into this game. Well, they're currently tied up in the top of the 9th inning right now. Looks like Pittsburgh's got 2 runners on, but 2 out. So we'll see how long that game goes. Obviously, that could make a difference in this prediction for sure. The Pirates are 53-52 on the season. We do not have a starter confirmed for them in this game, so it's going to be interesting to see who they run out there. I mean, in terms of their starting pitching this season, they've been very good, 4th in the majors in quality starts, but man, the bullpen this year has been awful. What are they, bottom 7 in the majors with a 4.32 bullpen ERA? That is not going to get the job done, guys. That's very, very problematic, especially when you're a team that's not that great offensively. We don't know for sure when Brian Reynolds is going to return. He's been dealing with, he's been on bereavement leave. Some pretty freaking sad stuff there. He has gone 1 for 3 so far in this game against the Astros, so it looks like he's back. Looks like he's ready to go and hitting the ball, you know, right here out of the gate after missing some time. So good for him. Obviously, it's been kind of a tough look this season for the Pirates offense, though. though. Bottom third in the majors in every major hitting category, 23rd in runs scored, 27th in the majors in slugging percentage, like just not a great hitting team. So we'll see what they can do here going up against Houston. They've been playing relatively well. They've taken over the top spot in the AL West. They're handing the ball in this game to Hunter Brown, who's 9-6 on the season with a 4.00 ERA. His last time out was at Oakland, guys, and he did give up 8 hits over 6 innings, but managed to work around trouble. He had 8 strikeouts in that game and only gave up a single earned run. The Astros are 4-1 over his last 5 starts, but not exactly a murderer's row there that he was taking on. So, we'll see what he can actually do out there in this game. This is a guy that's been a bit inconsistent, and at 25 years old, can't really fault him too much for that. The Astros bullpen has been trending in a good direction lately. They were one of the lower rated bullpens in the MLB early in the season, but they're up in the top half of the majors now with a 3.69 bullpen ERA, so they'll definitely take that. Obviously not having a great offensive night tonight. Ooh, they're now down 5-2. So yeah, looking like they're going to be taking the loss in this one. Not a very good offensive day. Over the course of the season, they're 11th in the majors in runs scored and 2nd in the majors in batting average. So, they should be putting up more runs. That's just not happening in this game. So we'll see what they can do against whoever the Pirates put out there on the mound. There are no numbers out yet for this game, so don't really know which way we're going to be leaning. I would guess they'll be leaning towards Houston, possibly with Hunter Brown on the mound, and the Pirates not being an amazing hitting team. But yeah, obviously with no numbers out, this is a wait-and-see spot. Go ahead and make sure you check that pinned comment. Next up, we've got the Colorado Rockies going on the road to take on the Los Angeles Angels. The Rockies come into this game fresh off of a pretty disappointing loss there to the Giants. They got swept in that 4-game series at San Francisco, and now they get to go on the road to take on the Angels. The Rockies are handing the ball in this game to Cal Quantrill, who's 7-7 this year with a 4.09 ERA. His last time out was a start against Boston. He went 6 innings, gave up 6 hits and 2 earned runs. That was that crazy game where we saw Colorado score 20 runs. So obviously very, very good stuff there. Not exactly expecting them to score 20 runs again in this game. That's a little bit tough to do. He hasn't pitched against the Angels yet this season, so nothing to be gleaned there. We're very concerned about that Colorado bullpen, guys. A 5.58 bullpen ERA is dead last by a large margin in the majors, so yeah, not a lot of positives there. The offense has been looking maybe a shade better, but not a very good offensive team, guys. 17th in the majors in runs scored, 15th in the majors in batting average, and these are all numbers that they got getting to play half their games in Coors Field, and these are numbers that are currently trending in a negative direction. So we'll see what they can do here going up against the Angels, who are fresh off of an 8-6 win to salvage 1 game out of a 4-game series against the Oakland A's. They're 46-60 on the year, handing the ball in this game to Griffin Canning, who's 3-10 this season with a 5.04 ERA. His last start was a very good one at Seattle. 5 innings, 4 hits, only a single earned run. Much better than what you normally see from Canning, who has had a pretty rough season so far, guys. Not a lot of positives to report for him. Also, not a ton of positives to report for that Angels bullpen. That is sixth worst, in the majors in bullpen ERA. And the offense hasn't been much better either, guys. They're coming off a game where they scored 8 runs. Great, but they've scored 8, 1, 4, 5, and 2 runs respectively over their last several games. 26th in the majors in runs scored. Yeah, not a lot of great news. We see that Trout has yet to resume his rehab after suffering that setback in his rehab assignment. So yeah, looking at the numbers for this game, Rockies plus 115, Angels minus 126, over under of 8.5. Colorado's only 14-40 on the road. The Angels are 23-32 at home. We see both teams showing trends towards the over. The Angels trend is only a 1-game trend, guys, so that's not very important. But Colorado is 31-22-1 to the over on the road. We've got an over-under of only 8.5. Guys, go ahead and give me the over in this game. I think we're going to see plenty of offense against 2 very bad pitching staffs. Is this going in the pinned comment with these 2 teams involved? I don't know for sure, but I would say it's got a chance. 8.5, not a very big number, and offenses tend to heat up here in July. Next on the docket, guys, we've got the LA Dodgers going on the road to take on the San Diego Padres. The Dodgers come into this game fresh off of a 6-2 win there at Houston to salvage 1 game out of that series. They're 63-44 on the year, so not exactly having a terrible time. They're handing the ball to Tyler Glasnow, who's 8-6 this season with a 3.47 ERA. He's coming off a good start against the Giants back on the 24th. 5 innings, 4 hits, 2 earned runs. It was a game we saw the Dodgers eventually lose 8-3, so, not great stuff in their bullpen in that game, but they did waste a very solid bounce back start there from Glasnow, who had been having trouble there for, I would say, 3 starts in a row. So seems like he's back on track here after spending some time on the IL. Things seem to be, where they want them to be with him. Their bullpen in general has had a little bit of trouble lately. They're down to, 8th in the majors, 7th in the majors with a 3.64 bullpen ERA. So, still not terrible. Obviously, coming off a game where they only gave up 2 runs has to feel pretty good. This offense has been great this season. They still need to get fully healthy. That's not something that's happened yet, but they're 2nd in the majors in runs scored and 2nd in the majors in slugging percentage. 1st in the majors in on-base percentage, guys. So very, very good stuff there. Obviously, they're still waiting for the return of Mookie Betts, who apparently is soon going to be able to be taking batting practice, so that is good news for sure. But once they get this offense back to full strength, though, once Freeman comes back and all that, this team is going to be in very good shape. So looking at their opponent in this game, we've got the San Diego Padres. They come into this game looking like they're, kind of turning things around. I mean, they did lose a game at Baltimore, but they had a solid winning streak there. They're handing the ball to Matt Waldron in this game, who's 6-9 on the season with a 3.64 ERA. His last time I was at Washington, he didn't look dominant, but 6 innings, 4 hits, and 3 earned runs was enough to help his team win 12-3. So good stuff from Waldron there. We'll see how he looks in this one going up against a tougher opponent, but feel pretty good about how he's been throwing the ball, generally speaking, this season. His last start against the Dodgers was back on May 11th, so kind of a long time ago, but he had a good time, guys. 5 1/3 innings, only 2 hits and 2 earned runs allowed, so good stuff there. And he had a start against them back in April where he was also very good, so expecting good things from Waldron here against this lineup, especially since they're not at full strength. The Padres bullpen over the course of the season obviously has not been amazing, but they're trending in a positive direction for sure. A 4.17 bullpen ERA at the moment, and they just added a reliever from the Rays, so hopefully that's helps boost the bullpen a little bit as well. The offense has been humming along, guys. 6, 9, 6, 3, and 12 runs respectively over their last few games, hitting the ball well. 10th in the majors in runs scored, 1st in the majors in batting average, and 8th in the majors in on-base percentage. This is easily a top 10 MLB offense. So looking at the numbers for this game, we've got the Dodgers at -142, the Padres at +130. We've got an over-under of 7.5 in this one. The Dodgers are 28-24 on the road. The Padres are 26-27 at home. I mean, that's a pretty decent road record from the Dodgers, but a lot of that came early in the season. In terms of the side in this game, guys, I really like the Padres +130. Honestly, that seems like great value to me. In terms of the over-under, I mean, we do see San Diego as a big over team at home. The Dodgers are an under team on the road with an over-under of 7.5. I also tend to like the over in this game, but I do think I like the Padres +130 a good amount. I'm expecting good things from Waldron in this start going up against a team he's had success against this season. Glasnow has also had success against the Padres, but yeah, this Padres team is a lot different than what he faced. And I mean, I guess you could say the Dodgers team is different than what we saw Waldron face as well, but I would say they're different but worse, and I would say the Padres are different but better. So we'll see what we actually get in this game. I'm not sure if this +130 is going in the pinned comment or not. Seems like a bit of a stretch, but we'll have to see. That is very good value. So yeah, Padres +130, definitely my lean in this one. Rounding into the home stretch here, guys, we've got the Washington Nationals going on the road to take on the Arizona Diamondbacks. The Nationals and Diamondbacks are playing right now, guys, with Washington actually up 6-1 in the bottom of the 4th inning. Washington hasn't been having a great time lately this season, at least. They're 49-57 on the year, so not terrible. They're handing the ball to Patrick Corbin, who's 2-10 this season with a 5.26 ERA. He's coming off of a decent start against the Padres, guys. 7 innings, 4 hits, and 3 earned runs. 7 innings is the longest start that he's had over his last 5 starts, and the longest start that he's had since back on June 24th. So we're a bit concerned about that, especially since after that June 24th start, he backed that up by getting absolutely destroyed by the Tampa Bay Rays. So that's not exactly a fantastic look for Corbin coming into this game. Obviously, the Nationals bullpen has had its problems recently, guys. Down to a 4.06 ERA has them, way down there in terms of the bullpen rankings. Not feeling great about this pen. Also, I mean, this offense, they're coming off a game where they scored 6 runs, so give them some credit there, but not expecting miracles necessarily from this offense. I mean, they've been fine lately, don't get me wrong, but I don't think they're really headed in a positive direction. This team is definitely sellers here at the trade deadline. They're taking on the Arizona Diamondbacks, who come into this game. I mean, we don't know which way their current game is going to go, but they just won a series against the Pirates. They're 55-51 on the season, handing the ball to Ryan Nelson in this game, who's 7-6 this year with a 4.85 ERA. We see that the Diamondbacks have won his last 4 starts in a row. Most of them have been pretty good. His start at Kansas City was a little bit rocky, but generally speaking, he has been throwing the ball well. And this Arizona bullpen, while they haven't been good over the course of the season, is trending in a positive direction for sure. A 4.24 bullpen ERA leaves tons of room for improvement, but when you've got this offense behind you guys, you can make some mistakes up there at the plate. They're 3rd in the majors in runs scored and 6th in the majors in on-base percentage. They're a top 10 slugging percentage team. Like, this squad can absolutely hit the ball. So looking at the numbers for this game, guys, we see the Nationals at +150, the Diamondbacks at -178. We've got an over-under all the way up to 9.5 in this game. Washington, not a very good road team. Arizona, a decent home team. We see Arizona with big trends towards the over at home, and I do think that over 9.5 might be worth a look, but guys, I think the Diamondbacks -168 is a pretty good spot in this game. Is it going in the pinned comment? I would say no. Don't trust Nelson enough, but still, my lean in this one, definitely the Diamondbacks. Last but not least here, guys, we've got the Oakland A's going on the road to take on the San Francisco Giants. The A's come into this game fresh off of an 8-6 loss there at the Angels, but they won 3 out of 4 in that series. They're 44-64 on the year, hitting the ball to JP Sears in this game, who's 7-8 on the season with a 4.81 ERA. His last start was against the Astros, guys, and he got destroyed. 6 innings, 9 hits, 8 runs, 7 of them were earned. Definitely a departure from what we'd been seeing from him lately. So we'll see if he can get back on track here in this one. The A's bullpen has been very good recently. A 3.53 bullpen ERA has them 5th in the majors. Definitely a shockingly good bullpen. We'll see if they're like big sellers here at the trade deadline or what goes on with that. But yeah, regardless, this bullpen's looked very good recently. The offense has turned it on a bit too, guys. They've scored 6, 3, 5, 6, and 1 run respectively over their last several games. They're up to 20th in the majors in runs scored and 15th in the majors in slugging percentage, guys. Hitting the ball well. So they're taking on the Giants in this series, who are 53 and 55 in the year. They just swept the Rockies in a 4-game series, so that had to feel great. They're hitting the ball in this one to Robbie Ray, who's 1-0 this year with a 1.80 ERA. This is only his second start of the year. His first one at the Dodgers, guys, was lights out. He went 5 innings, only gave up a single run while striking out 8 and walking 2. Very, very good stuff from Robbie Ray in that one. We'll see if he can back that up with another positive start. Obviously, the Giants bullpen has not been very good this year at all. They're 4th worst in the majors with a 4.37 bullpen ERA. So a lot will depend on whether or not they can figure their stuff out this season. But yeah, I mean, I'm not feeling terrible about them at the moment. They're coming off a pretty decent series, albeit against the Colorado Rockies. This offense has scored 5, 5, 4, and 11 runs respectively in that series. So we'll see if they can kind of keep going there. They're 14th in the majors in runs scored, 16th in the majors in slugging percentage. It is kind of questionable if they're going to, like do some selling or buying here at the trade deadline. We'll just kind of have to wait and see. Looking at the numbers for this game, guys, we see the A's at plus 158, the Giants at minus 184. We've got an over-under of 7.5 in this game. Oakland is only 18 and 37 on the road. The Giants are 32 and 22 at home. Not a whole lot of interest from me in the over-under, guys. I mean, Oakland is a big under team on the road, but not the way they're swinging the bats right now. If you're forcing me to bet the over in this under in this one, I'd probably actually take over 7.5. But the bet I like in this one the most is the Giants minus 184 or the Giants minus 1.5. Neither one of those is going in the pin comment, but I do think we see San Francisco come out on top in this game. That's all the games we have for today, guys. Hit that like button for good luck on all of your bets and subscribe to the channel if you're new. Let me know in the comments any questions you have on today's slate. Thanks for watching. You can click the link in the description to check out stumpthespread.com, and we'll see you guys tomorrow for more sports betting action.